correctly. So we'll go ahead and go through these 4 rules for modeling the lunar cycle. We have our sun on the right. We have our Earth here in the center. And remember, we always put the new moon in between the Earth and the sun. So we can go ahead and shade that one in first. Label it new. We also know that the full moon then will be on the opposite side of the Earth. So we can go ahead and label this one full. You'll notice I don't shade that one because the light is the white part of the paper. Okay, so once I've done the first step, I need to identify counterclockwise. So I always start with the new moon and I trace a circle around to the left, which is counterclockwise here. So that means I'm going to be starting by going up this time. And this tells me that this is going to be the waxing phase because the waxing phase always comes first. And we know that in the northern hemisphere, the waxing phase is going to put the light on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next critical step by dividing my quarter moons with a vertical terminator line. And because this is my waxing phase, it's going to be my first quarter with the light on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and shade the left, label this one first quarter. And then down here, now I know that this is going to be my waning phase. So the light's going to be on the left. And I can go ahead and shade the right and label this one third quarter. So once I've done that second critical step, then filling in the transition phases, however you feel comfortable doing that. Going from no light, you have a little bit of light on the right-hand side still, because this is the waxing phase. So this is going to be our waxing crescent. And then we go to a half lit moon, our first quarter, and then a mostly lit moon, which is going to be our gibbous moon, still light on the right. So we shade just a little bit of the left. And now this is going to be our waxing gibbous. So now that we've done one side of the lunar phase correctly, or the lunar cycle correctly, we just know that it's always going to be mirrored over here. So that first quarter has light on the right, the third quarter has light on the left. This waxing gibbous has the light on the right. So down here, the waning gibbous is going to have the light on the left. So I go ahead and shade just a little bit of the right and label that one waning gibbous. And it makes perfect sense that the gibbous moons go before and after the full moon because they're the mostly lit moons, right? And this is the fully illuminated one. And you have to slowly, gradually turn the light on, and then we're going to slowly, gradually turn the light off. So we go from a full moon to a mostly lit moon with the light on the left, to a half lit moon with the light on the left, to a less than half lit moon with the light on the left that we call a waning crescent. So if this was the waxing crescent up here, this will be the waning crescent down here. So we'll do a little crescent on the left-hand side. We'll shade in the right, and this is going to be my waning crescent. And you'll notice that this phase up here, the waxing phase, looks correct to my brain, right? Because the light's over here. This one doesn't from where I'm sitting, but if you turned it around and did it from Earth, right, it then would make perfect sense why the light was on the left. Okay, so now that we've established a correctly modeled lunar cycle, we can talk about the predictions. So if this whole lunar cycle here is going to be about a month or 30 days or 4 weeks, right, we're going to make a very easy to remember prediction. So each quarter of the cycle is going to be about 1 week or 7 days. And that means that each of these phases, right, is going to be roughly 3 to 4 days. So again, the whole cycle is worth about 4 weeks or a month. So you can have each of these quarters of the cycles worth a week or 7 days, and thus half of that, right, each of the phases is going to be every 3 to 4 days. So then if you go from like full moon to new moon, that's half the cycle, and that's going to be about 15 days or 2 weeks. And it doesn't really matter whether you use 2 weeks, which is 14 days, or 15 days, because one day here or there is not going to make or break you. You will still be able to make an accurate prediction and get the correct answer. It's never going to have the answer choices that close together. So then the last thing is, like I said, all the way around the cycle is worth about 1 month, 30 days, or 4 weeks. And technically speaking, it's 29 and a half days, but we don't need to be exact with our predictions. We're just approximating here. So keep these values in mind. If you go 1 quarter away around the cycle, you know that's about a week. If you go halfway around the cycle, that's 2 weeks. If you go all the way around the cycle, that's 4 weeks. So let's go ahead and make some basic predictions down here. If we have this arbitrary day 8 for our first appearance of the new moon, then we know that the second appearance, right, is going to be all the way around the cycle. From new moon to new moon is all the way around the cycle. So that's about 4 weeks or 30 days. So if you add 30 days to day 8, you get day 38. So then from new moon to first quarter, how far around the cycle is that? Well, you have the new moon here and you go to the first quarter here. So that's 1/4 of the way around the cycle. And 1/4 is equal to about 7 days or 1 week. So we could put this about day 15. Whether you used day 14, day 15, it doesn't really matter there. So then where is the second appearance going to occur? So if that first appearance is at day 15, then the next one would be day 45 because you just add 30 to that one. So then from first quarter to full moon is going to be 1/4 of the cycle. That's worth about 7 days. So we add 7 days to this and we end up with day 22. And it could have been like day 23. One day here or there is not going to make or break you. So then what is the next appearance of that full moon? And well, if the first one was on day 22, the next one is going to be one whole full turn of the cycle, which is about 30 days. So we would say this is day 52. So then from the full moon to the last quarter, how far around the cycle is that? Or the third quarter? That's 1/4 of a turn. So that's also worth about 7 days. So you add 7 days to day 22 and you end up with day 29. Right? And if you were using the other approximations or using some of these previous dates, you may end up with day 30. Like I said, one day here or there doesn't make or break you. So then you add 30 to this because you're going to see the last quarter in a whole month from now. So that would be about day 59. And like I said, you may have approximated that to day 60, and that was perfectly acceptable. So there you have it. Just remember, each moon phase, 3 to 4 days, 1/4 of the turn, 1 week, half of the turn, 2 weeks, all the way around the cycle, 4 weeks. If you can just remember that basic value for the cycle, making predictions is super easy.